This video is about finding the right composition in landscape photography. I'm currently at the Brunsummer Heide in the Netherlands, and I found this huge sand dune, and I'm thinking what is unique about this current situation, and I really wanted to implement the sand in my current composition. I am currently down low at the ground and try to take a nice picture of the dominant huge birch which is behind me. I show you what my camera sees. I can't operate it because it is down low and I'm already kneeing on the ground, but I am going for a long lens. I'm currently at about 90 millimeters. I tried different versions of this shot, and the idea I'm currently having is that I try to isolate the colored tree behind the birch in order to decrease clutteredness, and I try to implement the sand as a dominant part of this composition, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't think the sand looks particularly nice because there are all the footsteps inside it, and I hope that the compression is decreasing the depth of field enough so that everything ends up nice on your computer screen. Yeah, I just found the most beautiful oak I've seen in a while. It's huge, and the biggest challenge for me was to frame it not vertically. There's a huge dominant branch, and I tried to implement the waves of the sand dunes a little bit in the foreground of the composition, and I'm going to show you what my camera sees. The interesting part is a dominant oak, and I try to use the white spot in the background as a focal point in my composition, and this is one of the compositions where I think that the 16:9 aspect ratio would fit in order to emphasize on the horizontal orientation of everything. This is how I found the composition. I'm currently on my full frame camera at a 16:9 crop, and I'm at 28 millimeters, and the more I zoom in, the less cluttered the image appears to be, and I am leaving a tiny bit of air on the heather on the bottom of the frame, so I have a swirly line that is emphasizing the entire composition like a small frame. And I don't really want to zoom any further. The massive branch is the dominant part of my composition, and all those leaves around it add nice color. I hope when I took the picture, the sun was emphasizing the colors in the leaves a little bit, and this is what I came up with. It's not really complicated, and I really hope this is not too cluttered on the screen on my computer. I like the white part next to the black branch as a second focal point in the image, and I like this composition even if it's not vertical. On second thought, I think that this beautiful oak would fit a vertical composition way better, because the tree isn't only interesting horizontally, but the sheer height of it wasn't reflected accordingly in my previous composition. And this is what my camera sees. The main focal point is still the same. I focused on the black branch in the middle, but we get an additional level of black branches above it, and I think it balances the entire image out more, and the previous chosen foreground appeared to be a little bit boring. Therefore, I'm waiting for the next light, and it's about to hit the tree, and then I'll take a beautiful picture. The thing I'm thinking about while I take these pictures is exposure bracketing, and luckily modern cameras do it for you. I just go for a 3-stop exposure bracketing to make sure that the sky isn't burned out and this black stem in the middle isn't underexposed. If we think about autumn photography, we most of the time think about colorful leaves and lakes and huge scenes and immense colors. And I currently found a nice scene that is everything but that. It's quiet, it is small, and I think it's quite intimate. And in order to show it to you, I just show you what my camera sees. And I'm currently at 70 millimeters, and the scene is quite interesting. The mushroom that is sprouting out of the branch is what actually catched my eye. And while this image looks interesting with the mushroom and the fell over tree, you can increase the interestingness of the tree by increasing the focal length of your zoom lens. And I zoom all the way to about 125, 140 millimeters in order to declutter the image. And now we have two dominant pieces in the frame. We have the interesting mushroom in the bottom of the frame, and we have the colorful leaves at the top. This scene is lacking interesting light. This scene is interesting by composition. And the hard part of this image was finding the right amount of focus stacks to make sure that everything is in focus. But technology helped me a lot. I used the focus bracketing mode of my camera. I'm at the 20th of a second. I'm at ISO 400, and I'm at f16 to make sure that everything is nice and sharp. And I still had to focus because this image is taken at the focal length of 150 millimeters. The cool part is I can show you how easy it was to stack the focus the correct way. I focus all the way to the front of the image. I choose the focus bracketing mode. I used the smallest step increment, and I used 15 steps. And now I just press one button. And here we go. If you are ever afraid of reaching your destination too fast, just bring your camera. This 30-minute hike took me like 2 hours, and I'm finally at my destination. I'm finally at a lake with colored trees on the other side, with a huge reflection in the bottom. And while the clouds in the sky don't look like a nice sunset anymore, I already found a nice picture I'm about to show you. I have no idea. Well, all my shots are currently very low to the ground, and I'm on my knees. I reduced the height of my tripod a lot, and I show you what my camera is seeing. I'm at a 16:9 crop currently, so on the left and on the right you can see a little bit more of the scenery, but I found this beautiful lake, and this composition is kind of obvious. I just tried to put the axis of the mirror image in the middle of the frame, and I used the water lilies in the foreground as my foreground, and I focused on the most dominant part of the trees on the other side. And I tried to put this huge stem as close to the rule of thirds as possible. And I do multiple exposures in order to make sure that everything is nice and sharp and in focus. And I'm only at 1/4 of a second, and I'm at f11 to make sure that everything is as sharp as possible. I'm at ISO 100. The actual act of composing this image was reducing the height of my camera to reduce the part of the lake in the middle. In order to prevent the negative space to be too dominant in this image, I reduced the height of my tripod all the way to almost the bottom. And I show you how it looked before I decreased the height of my tripod. Okay, now I'm standing upright, and I increased the height of my tripod to the fullest. And the difference between this shot and the previous shot would be the fact that the distance from the water lilies to the other side of the lake is decreased. The amount of water is the same, almost 50%, but the position, due to increasing or decreasing the height of your camera, you change the position of the foreground. And now I reduce the height of my tripod slowly. Oh Gott, das sieht überhaupt nicht smooth aus. And now there are more water lilies in the frame. So height matters a lot if you try to take pictures of something that's very close to your camera. If you just focus on the other side of the lake, like this, actually changing the height doesn't do much. It looks almost exactly the same as before. That is the reason why usually when I'm on a landscape photography trip, I don't even bring my center column just to save some weight. I'm going to show you both pictures I took, and you can decide which one you like more. And all that's left to do is me pressing the shutter. I don't really think that the sunset is going to be interesting, but I found something very interesting right in front of my feet, namely these leaves. And I use my polarizer to remove all the reflections. And I really like the way how those leaves are floating in the water. And the hard part about this picture is that everything still moves, and I need to stack focus of something that moves, and I don't really know if this shot is going to turn out the way I'd like to, but I'd love to try. And I'm currently at 70 millimeters, and the thing that catched my interest is this huge green leaf in the middle of my frame. And if I zoom right into this, huge green leaf, you see how minimalistic this shot is going to look, because there's only a small amount of leaves left in the frame with black water, and I really like the way this looks. I tried to adjust my frame in the way that it looks as clean as possible. And now you can see how fast, relatively speaking, how fast everything is moving within the frame. I focus on the leaf that's closest to the front of my frame. I switch back to photography mode and use the focus bracketing mode of my camera in order to take 15 exposures with the press of a single button. Now I check the last picture taken. And the last picture taken is reasonably sharp on the top of my frame. And I think this turned out quite nicely. Even if there's no sunset picture today on the menu, I at least took some interesting shots today. And you can leave a comment and tell me which picture you liked the most of today's episode. And you can subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. And like my video if you like my video. I'm looking forward to do the next video. Bye.